His name was Thomas Earl Briggs, 73 years old, retired fire captain from Greensboro, North Carolina. A man who had walked into burning buildings for 30 years and walked out every time. A man his grandchildren called Papa Bear because of the way he laughed, loud and from the chest, and because of the way he hugged, like he meant it and wasn't in any hurry to let go. His wife, Evelyn, told me she still hears, feels, and sees him sometimes. In the kitchen in the morning, the particular way he slid his chair back from the table, the sound the coffee maker made when he was standing over it. Small sounds, the sounds of someone alive and present in a house. She hears those sounds, and then she remembers. Thomas Briggs died on a Friday night in November, in his own bed, next to his wife of 66 years. He did not cry out. He did not wake her. He was simply there when she fell asleep and gone, when she reached for him at 5:40 in the morning. The cause of death, according to the medical examiner, was a massive cardiovascular event. A heart attack is catastrophic, total, without warning. Thomas had seen his primary care physician 6 weeks earlier. He was managing his blood pressure. He walked 2 miles every morning. His cholesterol numbers, his doctor told him, were looking better. He was in the language of routine medical care, doing fine. I am Dr. Michelle. I have been practicing cardiovascular medicine for 24 years. I have read the literature. I have attended the autopsies. I have sat across the table from too many Evelyn's people who called their loved ones fine and buried them 3 weeks later. And after 2 decades of watching this pattern repeat itself, I made a decision. I am going to tell you what happened to Thomas, not in the language of medical charts, in plain language, the kind that might actually save your life or the life of someone you love before the next Friday night comes. But before I continue, subscribe to this channel. Every week, I bring you medical information like this, the kind that takes longer than a 15-minute appointment to explain properly, delivered to adults over 50 who deserve to understand what is happening inside their own bodies fully. What killed Thomas Briggs was not a mystery. It was not bad luck. It was not genetics. It was a set of nightly habits, ordinary, invisible, completely unremarkable, that his body had been absorbing for years. And on one particular night in November, his cardiovascular system finally reached the end of what it could absorb. I am going to walk you through 5 of those habits today. I want you to hear them all, because the 5th one, the one I have saved for last, is the habit that surprises people the most. It is the habit that never makes the health headlines. And it may be the most dangerous of all 5. Stay with me. The science why sleep becomes dangerous after 60. Before I tell you what Thomas was doing, I need you to understand something that will change how you think about sleep for the rest of your life. Sleep is not safe. Not automatically. Not after 60. I know that sounds alarming. Sleep is supposed to be the one place where your body is completely protected, completely resting. And for most of your life, when you were 40, when you were 50, that was largely true. After 60, something shifts. In a healthy nighttime cycle, your blood pressure drops by 10 to 20%. Doctors call this the nocturnal dip. Your heart rate slows. Your nervous system transitions out of sympathetic mode, the fight or flight state, into parasympathetic mode, the body's repair and restore setting. Your brain activates its waste-clearing systems, flushing out the toxic byproducts of a full day of living. This is what is supposed to happen. This is the body taking care of itself. But when certain habits interfere with those processes, when the nocturnal dip never arrives, when the heart rate never fully settles, when the blood thickens and slows in aging arteries, sleep stops being a sanctuary and becomes the most vulnerable period of the entire day. Almost half of all fatal cardiovascular events in older adults occur between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. American Heart Association. While people are lying in what should be their safest hours. Not the morning rush, not the afternoon exertion, the quiet hours, the hours when no one is watching, the hours when your guard is completely down because you are unconscious. And the habits that create this danger are not extreme. They are not dramatic. They look, from the outside, completely normal. The kind of things people have done for 30 years without a single warning sign, like Thomas did. Number 1. Deadly habit: the late. Heavy dinner. Thomas Briggs ate dinner at 8:30 almost every night of his life. It was a family tradition that had outlasted the family. The children grown and gone, the grandchildren visiting on weekends. But Thomas and Evelyn still kept the ritual. Big plates, real food. Whatever she made, he ate with gratitude, and they talked, and sometimes they laughed. And by 9:30 he was on the couch, and by 10:30 he was in bed. 30 years of the same routine, and nobody, not one doctor in 3 decades, ever told Thomas what that routine was doing to his heart. Here is what happens inside your body when you eat a large meal late at night after the age of 50. Your digestive system demands an enormous increase in blood flow. Digesting a full meal is not a passive event. It is a significant cardiovascular operation. Your heart has to pump considerably harder to supply your stomach, your intestines, and your liver. Your blood pressure rises. Your triglycerides, the fats circulating in your bloodstream, spike sharply within 2 to 4 hours of eating. Now here is the problem. At this exact moment, your body is trying to prepare for sleep. It is attempting to lower your blood pressure, slow your heart rate, shift into recovery mode. And instead, your heart is being asked to manage a full cardiovascular load at the precise moment it most needs rest. People who regularly eat late dinners have a significantly higher risk of nighttime heart attacks and strokes. European Heart Journal longitudinal study following over 100,000 adults for several years. And then there is the second danger, the one almost nobody connects to heart risk. When you lie down with a full stomach, pressure builds in your abdomen. Stomach acid pushes upward into your esophagus. Acid reflux. Most people experience this as a mild discomfort. What they do not experience, because it is invisible, because it happens at the cellular level, because it is entirely silent, is what that acid is doing to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs from your brain down through your chest and directly to your heart. When stomach acid irritates it repeatedly, in the middle of the night, in a body already at its most vulnerable, it can trigger dangerous cardiac arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats, and a heart that is already working overtime. Thomas ate a full plate of pot roast and potatoes at 8:30 every Friday night. He was in bed by 10:30. His heart was still digesting. His vagus nerve was still irritated. His blood pressure had not dropped. His body was in physiological conflict at exactly the moment it needed peace. The fix is straightforward. Finish your main meal by 6 or 7 in the evening. And not a starvation diet. Not a radical change. A reasonable dinner at a reasonable hour. Giving your heart a full 3 to 4 hours to complete digestion before you lie down. If you are hungry after 7, a small light snack is fine. What you are protecting your heart from is the combination of a full digestive load and the horizontal position at the same time. Pro tip: the danger is not just what you eat at night. It is also how you eat it. Eating quickly large bites, fast pace, causes sharper and faster blood sugar and triglyceride spikes than eating slowly. If you are eating dinner late, at minimum eat slowly. Chew every bite deliberately. Give your body more processing time before you put yourself horizontal. If you just recognize yourself in Thomas, if 8:30 dinner is your nightly ritual, type the word Thomas in the comments right now. I want to know how many of you have been living this habit without knowing what it was costing your heart. Now, let me tell you about a woman named Gloria. But wait, just before that, kindly second like this video. Not as a courtesy, because liking this video is how the algorithm decides whether to show it to someone else. Someone whose husband eats at 8:30 every night and calls it fine. Someone whose mother has been restricting fluids before bed for 3 years and thinks she is being careful. Your click may be what gets this in front of that person before it is too late. Number 2. Deadly habit: taking blood pressure medication at the wrong time. Gloria Satterfield, 69 years old, retired school principal from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The kind of woman who had run a building of 800 children with quiet, absolute authority, and who applied that same precision to her own health. Gloria was not a careless person. She was meticulous. She took her blood pressure medication every single morning, without exception. 8:15 with breakfast, without fail. Her daughter told me that when Gloria ended up in my cardiac unit at 3 a.m. with a hemorrhagic stroke, the kind caused by a sudden, catastrophic spike in blood pressure, she could not understand how it had happened. Gloria had done everything right. She had taken her medication every day. She had just taken it at the wrong time. Blood pressure follows a biological clock. In healthy adults, it drops during sleep, the nocturnal dip we discussed. But in a significant and underdiagnosed percentage of adults over 50, this dip does not happen the way it should. In some people, blood pressure actually rises during the night. It climbs during the very hours when the arterial walls are least defended, least prepared, most vulnerable to rupture. This condition is called nocturnal hypertension, and it is silently present in a large portion of older adults who are being treated for high blood pressure, many of whom are taking their medication at exactly the wrong time of day. Most standard blood pressure medications reach peak effectiveness in the 6 to 8 hours after you take them. If you take yours at 8 a.m, that peak falls during the mid-afternoon, a time of day when your blood pressure is naturally lower and you are awake and active. By 2 a.m, when your pressure may be surging to its highest point of the entire day, your medication is at its lowest effectiveness. You are most unprotected at exactly the most dangerous moment. Evening dosing of blood pressure medication reduced cardiovascular events during sleep by 45% compared to morning dosing. The Lancet landmark study following over 19,000 adults with hypertension. 45%. Not from changing the medication. Not from changing the dose. Just from changing the time they took it. And yet most patients are never told this. Most doctors, pressed for time in a 15-minute appointment, prescribe and send. Morning dosing is the default. The conversation about timing the conversation that could cut your nighttime cardiac risk nearly in half almost never happens. Gloria survived her stroke. She is alive, but the left side of her face does not move the way it used to. And she told me at her follow-up appointment, through tears she was trying very hard not to cry, that she wished someone had told her sooner, that she would have asked, that she just needed to know the question existed. Now you know it exists. Here's what I am asking you to do before your next doctor's appointment. Write down this question and bring it with you. Write it on paper so you do not forget, given my age and my cardiovascular history. Should my blood pressure medication be taken in the evening instead of the morning for better nighttime protection? 14 words. That is the question. It is the conversation that Gloria did not have in time. It may be the most important medical conversation you have this year. Pro tip. If your doctor has never checked your blood pressure between midnight and 6 a.m, never monitored your nocturnal readings, ask specifically about ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. This is a small wearable device that measures your pressure throughout the night and gives your doctor a complete picture instead of a single office snapshot. For many patients, this single test has revealed dangerous nocturnal patterns that morning readings completely missed. Number 3. Deadly habit, the sound everyone laughs about. That is quietly destroying your heart. I want to introduce you to a man named Curtis Doss, 68 years old, retired high school football coach from Columbus, Ohio. Big man, warm man. The kind of man his former players still called coach, 30 years later, because there was no other word that fit. His wife, Patricia Pat. He called her always Pat, had slept with earplugs for 11 years, not because she resented him for it, because she loved him, and she knew that if she lay there listening, she would never sleep, and she needed to sleep. And so she put in her earplugs, and she told herself it was just snoring, and she went to sleep. What she did not know, what no one had ever told her, was that what she was sealing out was not just sound. She was sealing out the sound of her husband's body struggling for oxygen. Repeatedly, through the night. For 11 years, Curtis had obstructive sleep apnea. His airway was collapsing during sleep, soft tissue falling backward, blocking the passage, cutting off breathing for 10, 20, sometimes 30 seconds at a time. Each time, his blood oxygen dropped. Each time, his body fired a biochemical emergency alarm. Adrenaline surged. His heart rate spiked. His blood pressure jumped, jolting his cardiovascular system into crisis mode, while he remained unconscious, unaware, dreaming, on a bad night. This happened more than 50 times per HR 50 cardiovascular emergencies per hour, every night, for 11 years. Untreated sleep apnea triples the risk of nighttime heart attack and quadruples the risk of stroke. Research consensus from Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and Stanford sleep medicine programs. And here is what makes it so devastating. The person who has it usually does not feel it happening. They do not remember the moments of stop breathing. They do not feel the adrenaline surges. They wake up tired, always tired, chronically tired, and they blame it on age, on stress, on not sleeping well. They never connect it to what is actually happening inside their cardiovascular system during the night. Pat finally pushed Curtis to a sleep specialist, not because of the snoring, which she had made her peace with. She pushed him because of a Tuesday afternoon when she came home from the grocery store and found him asleep in the armchair with the television on, a glass of iced tea still in his hand. He had been awake when she left 40 minutes earlier. That was her moment of reckoning. That was when she understood that something was wrong, that went beyond snoring. The sleep study results were severe. The CPAP machine that was prescribed took Curtis 3 weeks to adjust to. He hated it at first. He slept badly with it. He wanted to stop. Pat did not let him stop. 4 months after beginning CPAP therapy, Curtis's cardiologist reduced his blood pressure medication from 3 drugs to 2. His morning headaches, which he had been accepting as a permanent feature of getting older, disappeared. He stopped falling asleep in the middle of the afternoon. He told me in a follow-up that he felt, for the first time in years, like he had actually slept. The warning signs of sleep apnea that you need to know: loud chronic snoring that wakes your partner or can be heard from another room, waking up gasping or choking, persistent morning headaches, extreme daytime fatigue, despite a full night in bed, blood pressure that refuses to be controlled despite medication, your partner reporting that you stop breathing. 3 or more of those signs. That is your threshold for talking to your doctor about a sleep study. Home studies are now available. No lab required. This is not about snoring annoyance. This is about whether your heart wakes up tomorrow. Pro tip if you are waiting for a sleep study appointment and want to take action tonight: sleep on your side instead of your back. Back sleeping causes the tongue and soft tissues to fall backward, worsening airway obstruction dramatically. A simple positional change of body pillow behind you to prevent rolling can meaningfully reduce the severity of sleep apnea episodes while you wait for a formal evaluation. It is not a treatment, but it is something real you can do tonight. Retention, bridge, midpoint. We are halfway through. You have just learned 3 habits that are killing older adults in their sleep every single night, and most of them never know. I want to ask you to do something right now. If you are still watching, type, "I am staying" in the comments, because what I am about to show you in habit 4 is the habit that most responsible. Health-conscious people are practicing deliberately believing it is the right thing to do, while it quietly makes their blood dangerous. And habit 5 is the one that shocked me most after 24 years in cardiovascular medicine. Stay with me. Now, let's move to the next habit, number 4. Deadly habit: going to bed dehydrated, the responsible decision that is thickening your blood. Walter Nagy, 72 years old, retired civil engineer from Sacramento, California. Methodical, careful, deliberate man. The kind of man who color-coded his medications in a weekly pill organizer and had done so for 12 years without missing a dose. Walter was serious about his health. He walked every morning. He ate vegetables. He monitored his blood pressure at home twice a week. And every evening, at around 5:30, Walter made a decision he considered entirely sensible. He stopped drinking water. He did this because he was waking up 2 and 3 times a night to use the bathroom. The interrupted sleep was wearing on him. He had read in a health newsletter. He told me, one of those reliable ones, that limiting fluid intake in the evening could reduce nighttime bathroom trips. So he limited, and the trips reduced. And every night, he went to bed with blood that was measurably thicker than it should have been. After the age of 50, the thirst mechanism becomes progressively less reliable. Your brain's signals for dehydration weaken. You can be clinically dehydrated and feel no particular urge to drink. This is why chronic low-grade dehydration is widespread in older adults. Not from carelessness, but because the body's warning system has aged along with everything else. When you go to bed mildly dehydrated when you have been restricting fluids since 5:30, losing water through breathing and perspiration, for hours your blood volume decreases. Your blood becomes more viscous, thicker, slower moving, harder to pump through arteries that may already be carrying the narrowing that comes with decades of living. Now combine that with what we know about nighttime physiology. Your heart rate naturally slows during sleep. Blood moves more sluggishly through your vessels. And in older arteries that may already have some degree of narrowing, some degree of stiffness. Slow moving, thickened blood is the exact environment in which clots form. Even moderate dehydration raise the risk of nighttime cardiovascular events by over 60%. Journal of Cardiovascular Disease. Direct analysis of hydration status and nighttime cardiac events. 60% from not drinking enough water before bed. Walter had a transient ischemic attack, ATIA, a mini stroke at 4:17 in the morning. 18 months after he began his fluid restriction routine, his wife found him sitting on the edge of the bed, unable to form complete sentences, confused about where he was. He recovered fully. He was one of the fortunate ones. The physician who treated him in the emergency room was the first person to ever connect his evening fluid restriction to his stroke risk. Walter told me later, and I have never forgotten this, he said. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was doing the right thing. He was. By the standard of the information he had, he was doing exactly what he had been told would help, and no one had told him the other half of the equation. The solution is disarmingly simple. Drink 1 full glass of water, 8 ounces 1 hour before your planned bedtime. The hour gives your body time to absorb it and process it before you lie down. Minimizing bathroom disruption. Keep another glass on your nightstand. When you wake during the night, take small sips. 1 bathroom trip is not a medical emergency. A stroke at 4 in the morning is. Pro tip. If nighttime bathroom trips are genuinely disrupting your sleep, the solution is not less water. It is better timed water. Drink most of your daily fluids between waking and 3 in the afternoon. Front load your hydration earlier in the day, so your kidneys have done the majority of their processing work well before bedtime. Then a moderate amount in the evening, including that pre-bedtime. Glass will not significantly increase nighttime trips, because your system has already cleared the bulk of the fluid load. Number 5. Deadly habit. The bedroom temperature you have never thought about. The one that surprised me most, I want to tell you about a woman named Dolores. Dolores Marchetti, 66 years old. Retired hospital administrator from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A practical, organized, no-nonsense woman who had managed operating room schedules for 28 years, and who brought the same precision to her household. Dolores had been cold for years. Not dramatically, not clinically, just chronically cool in a way that had been getting more pronounced since her late 50s. She slept in thick socks. She kept an extra blanket folded at the foot of the bed. And after her husband Leonard passed away 3 years ago, she began to turn the bedroom thermostat up at night. First to 74, then 76, eventually 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It was her small comfort, her warmth, in a cold house. She did not know that every night, while she lay in her warm bedroom feeling soothed and comfortable, her cardiovascular system was doing exactly the opposite. When your sleeping environment is consistently above 72 or 73 degrees Fahrenheit, your body works throughout the entire night to shed excess heat. Blood vessels dilate. Your heart rate stays elevated above where it should be for deep sleep. You perspire and lose fluids, which, as we have just discussed, thickens your blood and raises clot risk. Your sleep architecture deteriorates. You spend less time in the deep restorative stages where true cardiovascular recovery happens. And critically, your blood pressure does not drop the way a healthy body requires it to drop. It stays elevated for hours, in the most vulnerable window of the entire day. Sleeping in rooms above 74 degrees Fahrenheit significantly increases nighttime cardiovascular risk in older adults. Harvard Division of Sleep Medicine population data on bedroom temperature and cardiac events. And here's the part that I did not fully understand until I read the European data. The part that surprised me even after 24 years in this field. Sleeping too cold is equally dangerous. When a bedroom drops below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the body responds by constricting blood vessels to preserve core temperature. Vasoconstriction raises blood pressure. For someone with arterial stiffness, which describes most adults over 60, to some degree, that sudden pressure increase in the middle of the night can be enough to rupture a vulnerable plaque deposit inside a coronary artery. European epidemiological researchers have documented sharp increases in nighttime cardiac deaths during cold spells. Not during the cold days, during the cold nights. Older adults sleeping in rooms that were simply 8 to 10 degrees too cold. The protective range is narrow and specific. 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 to 22 degrees Celsius. Within that range, blood vessels stay relaxed, heart rate settles, the nocturnal blood pressure dip occurs as it should, and the body gets the cardiovascular recovery that sleep is supposed to deliver. Outside that range, too warm or too cold, the cardiovascular system is quietly stressed for every hour of every night. I told Dolores about this at her appointment. She sat with it for a moment, the quiet of someone recalibrating something they had taken for granted. Then she said something I have thought about many times since. Leonard always said I kept the house too warm. I thought he just ran hot. I never thought there was a medical reason. I never thought it mattered. It matters. The fix is free. It requires no prescription, no equipment, no specialist. It requires adjusting a thermostat, and if needed, adding a heavier blanket. 65 to 72 degrees. Check it tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight, before you get into bed. Pro tip, if you share a bed with someone who has a different temperature preference, consider a dual-zone electric blanket with each side independently controlled. This allows both partners to maintain their own optimal sleeping temperature without compromising the room air temperature, which affects breathing, blood vessel behavior, and overall cardiovascular recovery for both people simultaneously. The heart-safe nighttime routine. Thomas Briggs did not have to die on that Friday night. Gloria Satterfield did not have to have that stroke. Curtis Dawes did not have to spend 11 years destroying his heart one apnea episode at a time. Walter Nye did not have to wake up unable to speak. And Dolores Marchetti did not have to spend 3 years warming herself in a bedroom that was quietly pressing her heart. These are not tragedies born from mystery. They are the predictable, preventable, documented outcomes of habits that no one had ever explained to them. Information they were owed and never received. You have just received it. Here is what I want you to build starting tonight. I am calling it the Heart-Safe Nighttime Routine. 5 changes. 1 for each of the 5 habits. They cost nothing. They require no prescription. And when practiced consistently, they are among the most evidence-supported cardiovascular interventions available to any adult over 60. By 6:30 p.m., finish your main meal. Not a feast and not a fast. A real dinner at a real hour that gives your heart a full 3 to 4 hours before you are horizontal. At 7 p.m., take your medications. And if you have not yet had the timing conversation with your doctor, write the question down right now and put it somewhere. You will not lose it before your next appointment. From 8 o'clock to 9 p.m., wind down. Gentle movement if you enjoy it. Reading, quiet conversation. No emotionally intense screens. Your nervous system needs this transition as much as your body does. At 9 p.m., check your thermostat. Set it to somewhere between 65 and 72 degrees. Prepare your bedroom for your cardiovascular system, not just your comfort. Before bed, drink 1 full glass of water. Place another on your nightstand. And if you snore, or if anyone has ever told you that you stop breathing at night, sleep on your side tonight. Make the call for a sleep study this week. 5 habits. 5 fixes. a cardiovascular system that goes to bed tonight with a fighting chance of waking up tomorrow. Your heart has been working for you without a single pause for every minute of your entire life. It has never once asked you for anything in return. Tonight, it is asking you for this. 5 habits. Rapidly. 1. Late, heavy dinners. Your heart is working overtime at the moment it most needs rest. Finish eating by 6:30. 2. Morning medication timing. Your blood pressure medication may be wearing off at the most dangerous hours of the night. Ask your doctor about evening dosing. 3. Untreated sleep apnea. If you snore and wake up exhausted, your heart may be experiencing 50 cardiovascular emergencies per HR while you sleep. Get evaluated. 4. Going to bed dehydrated. Restricted fluids make your blood thicker and slower. Drink 1 glass of water before bed. Every night. 5. Bedroom temperature outside the safe range. Too warm, and your heart never rests. Too cold, and your blood pressure surges. 65 to 72 degrees. Tonight. These are not accidents. They are not fate. They are the predictable outcomes of habits nobody warned you about, and every single one of them is preventable. Before you leave, I want to ask 4 things of you. Not for me, for the people who need this information and have not found it yet. Third, leave a comment. Tell me which of these 5 habits you recognized in yourself or in someone you love. And if you are committing to making a change tonight, not someday, type these words. I am changing this tonight for Thomas. That commitment, made publicly, matters. And those 3 words, for Thomas, are a reminder of why this is not abstract. This is not a health lecture. This is someone's Papa Bear, someone's husband of 46 years, someone who kissed his wife goodnight and never woke up. And 4th, please share this video with your spouse, with a sibling, with a friend who is over 60 and lives alone, with anyone you love who you cannot bear to receive a sudden phone call about. You will never know exactly whose life you protect by sharing it, but someone will be alive next week who might not have been. And that is nothing. That is everything. Sleep should heal you. It should restore you. It should return you to the people who need you. Starting tonight, make it safe again. This is Dr. Michelle. Take care of your heart. I will see you in the next video. Medical disclaimer. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider. Thank you.